don't have to do it alone. You can do it together. We're in this together. And so that's what this group is about, and that's what I'm about. That was my personal discovery. The whole reason why this started is I tell my story at some point. I have a few people in the group that kind of know my story. And about a year ago, you wouldn't have recognized me. I was down and out for the count. But I knew that I could find healing in trying to heal others. And if you take your story and your test becomes a testimony.
Yeah.
You know, your mess becomes a message.
That's right.
And so, and I think that's what we'll do. So, without further ado, though, are there any questions that you might have?
So when you see those friends now, or do you see those friends?
You know, I don't see many of them because, of course, I'm not in those circles anymore. So, of course, I still embrace them, and they all kind of look at me and, how are you? Fantastic.
That's right.
Absolutely fantastic. So where do you live now? In a good place. You don't have to, it doesn't have to be a place where you thought I was. I'm in a good place.
That's right.
Because people try to be messy.
Oh, what? Oh,
They try to be messy.
oh, yeah.
But they don't really be caring about how you doing.
That's right. That's right.
It's mess.
Elaborate on that some.
Look, you're trying to be messy.
So when I see them, I'm in a good place. I'm doing fantastic, and I'm not gonna tell you that I don't have my bad days.
Right.
Because I have those days.
We all.
Don't think I'm walking around here. I got it going on. No, I got some days. I got some days where I go, wake up, get this thing, get back. And I get back.
So I have a question. So you have come to a place, a new place, you've evolved
Yes.
spiritually,
Yes.
mentally, all of those things. You learn so much from those experiences. But from a more practical, tangible standpoint, what did you learn about, what would you have done differently financially if you were to have that money again and you were to walk that path again? What would you have done differently?
Well, like I said, I saw it. I saw it. In 2005 and 6, I saw the economy start to turn.
Mm-hmm.
And if I was smart and didn't think my head was so big, I would have either had to sell, because at the time, the property wasn't, the economy and property values hadn't dropped so low where you couldn't get out, and so if I had to do it all over again, I would have thought about a little bit more about how I was gonna live down the road and for my family, for my children. I would have done things differently. I remember, I'm very close to the president of Capital City Bank.
Right.
George, what's George's last name? Anderson. And he thinks I'm the best school director in the world. And he kept saying to me, Faye, I think you're wonderful, brilliant, and all that, but you need to make some changes because I'm telling you things are changing. Oh, George, we're going to be fine. Oh, we're going to be okay. And if I had to do it all over again, I would have done that. I would have done all those financial things. And so I tell people now, even my clients, I tell them, I said, only go this far.
That's it.
Only go this way. If I had to do it over again, I wouldn't go all the way to 12th grade. I would only go to third. Because we, as a people, and my clientele was mostly African American, we go to about first or second grade. If we go further than that, those numbers dwindle down very low. So I have 12 children and 15 teachers for 12 kids. Not smart. So those are some of the many things that if I had to learn all over again and do all over again, I would have done. I'm not going to blame it all on the economy. Look, some of this is fake. Okay, let's be real with it. This is me too, and my way of thinking. So yes, good question. And that was the answer. Remember now, I've been through everything you could think of when it came to evaluating myself and how
I hear two things in that. One is that God always sends a warning before the destruction.
Oh,
boy.
It always is.
Mm.
And then the second thing in your statement that I just heard was is that you can't fix what you don't acknowledge.
Right.
And
Exactly.
if you blame everything on everybody else,
Yes.
there was nothing about it that was your fault,
Yes.
you're just gonna find yourself in that situation
Exactly.
again and again and again.
And let me tell you, and for a long time, before I just really got it, I was blaming everybody else. I was blaming everybody else. I had to look at me too. And I found that it was a big part of it. It was a big part of what can happen if you don't see those things as they come along and go back to where you came from. That was the number one thing I've always heard him say, go back to where you came from. Where when you stayed on your knees, when you were passionate about what you did, you didn't care about if you had the money or not, that's when it's passion. You can do it for free, that's passion.
Sure enough.
That's passion. If there's something in your life that you could do, and I don't care what it is, I mean, what it is. I always tell my children, if you could tie shoe, have a tie shoeing business, if that's what you want, you do it. And you be the best tie shoer in the world. You be the best garbage man in the world. You be the best president of your company in the world. And that's what I tell anybody about where you want to go and what you want to do, what you are so passionate about, that you could do for free. What would you do for free? What would you do for that you love so much you didn't care if it makes time? It was just something that you knew was in you. I tell that to everybody. Like
You know, I'm embracing design. I'm embracing design, making a dime. Is there another question? No, I have a question for you, for all of you, and that is, I heard a few things. And one is that you find yourself in your pain. You often find your own deliverance in your disaster. If that makes sense. You find out who you really are when you're left alone. You find out who your friends are when you're abandoned.
That's it.
Oh, yes.
That's it.
And it's in those dank, and I call them dank, dark places where you find self-worth and wholeness. It's amazing how in disaster you kind of find your self-worth. It's not when you're at the top. It's when you're at the
Because it's too much
rock
noise.
bottom.
It's
too
Yes.
much
noise.
Rock bottom.
Yeah.
And so I want to put it out there. Has anybody in here been in a place, or what is your viewpoint on just that? Can you really find yourself in a dark place? And how does that work?
When you're in a dark place, you don't have no choice but to find yourself. Or you stay there, because, we reach for resources that can do nothing for us. Most of the time, when we're in dark places. That's how we get in dark places, because we're reaching for, everybody but the candle holder, he holds all the light. And if you just listen to him, you'll be straight. So, that's the way I look at it.
This was a humbling experience for me.
Because a lot of times, like you said, and it happens to not just you, many people. You don't go to the light until you're in the dark. You're walking around with your big head.
And get to the top.
Like you can do it, like you don't need to go to the source, that will help you. And I think, to the point where you know where to go to come out. But if you stay in darkness, well, you're gonna be there for eternity. I mean, for real, right? You'll be there for eternity. Until you know how to get down on your knees and reach for your source, for the true source, and that's where you'll be.
And are you speaking from experience?
Yes, ma'am, sir. Yes, sir. Hush. I know.
It's too much going on.
See, he's messy, that's why. But yeah, I speak from experience, my own experience.
I have a question.
Mhm.
Oh, you were putting that on me?
No, Rosa had her hand up just now. Did you want to make?
I'm sorry. What I was gonna say is that God don't give you what you cannot bear. This is what I say. If you know, He's going to give you a test, and that was your test to beat yourself, and He want to see, oh, you can handle it. Like what you said, you had a big head, but you wasn't glorifying God. You wasn't giving God thanks. And you wasn't humble to, you wasn't, maybe you was with the, like you said, you was with the wrong people. You wasn't looking out to help the really ones them that need it. So what He did, He said, okay, since you not doing, He going to show you stuff. He show all of us stuff. We don't pay attention. And then we fall down, we want to know why. But you see, I use this note when I fall, I said, Lord, I thank you because you're going to help me go through this, because I cannot go through by myself. And I need you to walk me through this path, regardless I made the mistake and I realize it, so I need you to go with me. And that's a lot of, with everybody. You see, you have to know how to ask God to come inside of you and work with you, because a lot of people worship God, but they don't have God inside of them. You see, so that's a big difference. And and when you humble yourself to help other people, like what you all say, our mess is somebody what? Message. And that is absolutely true. Because it's absolutely true. You can look with, if people have discernment, oh, you said discernment, that's the word, right? You can see when somebody going to do something, because you can tell them. You see, you can talk to them and they look at you and say, oh, you know that. Just have to say by the grace of God. Because He's the only one give us deliverance. Nobody else. Because He said He will send a counselor, and the counselor is the Holy Spirit. You see, so that's what we all got to learn to understand.
I just wanted to ask, the new you, do you see the new you hanging with the so-called good friends?
Never again.
Oh.
Never again. I've been in churches where pastors have called me out and said, God is going to change your life. Didn't know me from a campaign. He's going to restore. But you know what's funny? I already feel restored. They say, you're going to get that house again, and you're going to get that car again. I don't want that anymore.
Exactly. You don't want that. It will fall in place.
I don't want that anymore. I just want the peace.
Yes, that's scary.
I want to continue to build that passion that He first gave me. So no, I don't. Let me tell you, when I looked up about the house one day, and my children were gone. I'm an empty nester now, and most of them were gone. They went all in college and on their own. And I know I look too young for that. They just don't like me. But anyway, and I was in this 6-bedroom house, and the alarm went off, and like there was someone in the house. I'm on the 3rd floor. I'm scared to death. I'm walking around with my gun, calling the police. And I'm going, and the police says, you have a gun? I said, yeah. And they found it was just a trouble with the alarm. But I thought to myself, why am I in this house? I don't ever go to any of those rooms anymore. I never go into the basement, which was laid. I don't swim in the pool anymore. That's when the kids were here. That's when there was a whole bunch of stuff going on. The family life, why do I need this? And that was one of the first little tiny things that started to gnaw at me. So when I decided to rent the house out, it was because it was a family who had a bunch of kids. And that's where I felt my house was. My house was always the place where everybody could come and lay their head. You had no place to live, come on. You need a roof over your head, come on. I was the Kool-Aid house. All the kids came, and even if you ran away, the parents said, "Is John over there?" He's here. All right, I'll come get him in the morning. And they were happy because we were the Kool-Aid house. There was a lot of good things that happened. There was a lot of wonderful, wonderful things that happened. But again, there were the other things. When I stopped being on those knees, that's when it started. That's when that other person or that other thing came in. And that just came
And the only way we grow is if we make mistakes. You can't grow if you're sitting still and you're not doing anything. And then people who say they don't make mistakes, you know that they're dead in the water. You know what I'm saying? You know, they don't do nothing wrong, they don't think nothing wrong. You know, yeah.
I kind of stay away from perfections, quite frankly, I can't stand it.
Yeah.
You know, they do nothing wrong, they say
Right.
nothing wrong, they see
Right.
fault in everybody else. And
Right.
before you know it, you feel worse than you're in their
Right.
company by the time you leave.
Right.
They just made you feel like crap. I really don't like them. I
Right.
honestly can't stand it.
And you know, that also applies to people that go into business, you know, for whatever reason you fail. You know, people that go into business make mistakes 1,000,000 times before they get it right.
Yeah.
Some of the wealthiest people, if we read any of their testimonies, would tell you about the many mistakes they made. The Ford family, this chick that wrote, what's the name of the, that series of books? Harry Potter. You should hear her testimony.
J.K. Rowling.
Crazy, but she never gave up. That was her passion, and she continued to work for it.
Yeah, and what I also get from this story too is that you can't give up. You got to make a comeback.
Yeah.
But you got to know what you're coming back to.
Yeah.
You know, you're coming back to your purpose. You're not coming back to fame.
Right.
And if she started to pursue things again, she probably would be just as unhappy and would have lost it again by now.
If her attitude hadn't changed.
If her attitude
Right.
hadn't changed. But once you gain self-worth, self-respect,
Yeah.
self-dignity, and purpose in life, nobody can take that away from you. You have that, you literally have that forever. And I identify with the story. I often tell a story where I used to be the director of sales and marketing for the community government. I was the highest earner for the and I had an assistant and a secretary, and I was making a six-figure job, and I was traveling the globe. And one time I was coming back from Milan, and I walked into the Mont Blanc store, and I wanted a briefcase, a wallet holder, and a pen and a watch. And I walked into the Mont Blanc store. This was in Milan, and I said, "Well, I have that."
Who is that?
And then,
Tell me about it.
it's like a design,
Designer.
high end, but it's more than luxury. It's a status piece,
Oh.
and it's just like it's just a status piece,
Mhm.
especially the pink.
And you're paying for it.
And you're paying for it.
Yes.
But I mean, when I walked through and I walked into the Mont Blanc store, I literally looked and I was happy. And I knew now, and I said to myself just 2 days ago, I said I had to be knocked down. Those things had to be taken away. When I tell you, I was arrogant. I was literally lost. I was caught up into this whole status thing. And then I arrived in Bermuda, my car had to be there. Or when I used to leave the office in New York, I would have a secretary on the other, and I would walk in. They had to be there. My car had to be there. And when I went into the Mont Blanc store, I remember, and I wasn't even thinking about it. I said, "Well, I have that. And I think I like that briefcase. And I have that." And I thought it was beautiful. And I felt the leather. I don't know too much about the leather. I knew it felt soft. And I said, "I'll take that." And the gentleman said, "Would you like to know the price?" I said, "No, I'll just take it there." I said, then I had the collection on the counter, and I looked at the pieces, and I said, "Do you think that goes?" I was being sincere. I was really being sincere. You know, how does it look? And
Yeah.
I really do like that. And then he said to me, I said, "Well, well, what is it, you know, what's the cost of it? And he told me the cost, and I bought a watch. No, he told me the cost, and then I said, well, I think I'll take a watch. And I bought the watch, and I bought a big, beautiful watch back then. It was like a $3,500 watch. It's not too expensive, but, you know, now most people love buying something for that, right? And I gathered it up and I paid for it, and I remember walking out and coming out of Milan, and I bought a designer suit out of Milan, and I arrived out. I had a BMW, I had a pad in Manhattan that I was paying $2,500 for. Yeah, it wasn't too much, but, you know, if I hadn't lost all of this, all of that, I wouldn't be here. And I think when God has a plan for your life, you have to acknowledge Him in all things, in all ways. If not, then He has to take it from you. And it's just like celebrity. When you're a celebrity, you become a celebrity because He gives you a microphone to help others. You are not there just to be doing things. So, but I thank God for the journey. I thank God for let's give her another round of applause. Is there one last question that we may have for her? No? Well, thank you so much.
Thank you, thank you.
I'm going to move on to our next line of business. Me and becoming my friend on Facebook. Would you mind also just getting the word out? And if you have a friend that you came to a wonderful meeting, and this is something you got out of the meeting, would you mind putting it on Facebook or on Twitter or so and getting the word out? The meetings are going to happen every first and third Thursday of the month. The first Thursday is about self-empowerment. The second Thursday is about social justice. So the first one, this one was about self. The second Thursday is going to be about something that's within